Welcome everybody, buonasera a tutti gli amici di MusiCare. Siamo qui con Mauro Gatto e il proprietario, colui che si è inventato di sana pianta un sistema di pedali per la batteria, Kevin Macchi. Ciao ragazzi, hi Kevin.
Ciao, hi.
Ciao.
Hi.
Allora, vi iniziamo subito con il dire, Mauro, let's start. I don't know if I have to do this in both languages. What do you prefer, guys? Because the fair, it's an international fair, so we can do it in English as far as everyone can understand.
For me, it's the same.
Okay, we'll try to do in both. Let's just say that Kevin had this idea of building a real innovative drum pedal, and we've created a little sign below this. We thought that innovative drum pedals would be appropriate to say to tell what Kevin had in mind about 25 years ago, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, the original thing was I got my first drum set and it had 3 foot pedals. It had a normal doppio pedale and a hi-hat pedal, and I had 3 drum pedals and I only had 2 feet. Now, I grew up on the farm and I thought, mechanics, I'm like, why do we have 3 drum pedals? And when I read the Ginger Baker drum book, he played double bass drums, but he said the double bass drums and double bass drum pedals are great, but you must not lose control of your hi-hat. And a lot of the rock drummers I grew up watching and other genres of music, they always had the hi-hat playing. So I didn't want to lose that as a timekeeping mechanism, but I wanted to play double pedal. And as a result, I combined all mechanisms into one that resulted in the original Duallist drum pedal, which I happen to have here. So for anybody watching, this takes me back to many years ago. This was actually made a long time ago.
We must show this in full screen.
This one is actually it's made from parts of tractors from the farm. This is the blade from a rotavator. We have some back end of a tractor mechanism. The leather belts on here were actually from holding my pantalones or my trousers up as the scouts. This was my brown scout belt. These were the table legs from my mother's table in her kitchen, and the footboard, everything made. But it's still, this is so many years old. I just found this recently in the attic, and it still plays away. So it went booga booga booga, and that was the start. So
it works anyway.
Yeah, it worked. Yes, it worked. Yeah. Well, it was a real great idea. Now we're laughing, and it's very interesting. I mean, that's a unique piece, I believe, and a prototype, as we can say now. We can call it now. But inventing, designing, and building it wasn't, I believe, very easy, since it was the first in the world, the first idea.
Well, no, it's for me. It was I developed it when I was younger, and I went to university and learned business and marketing. So I was kind of building my skill set to launch the company, and I didn't expect to do all this myself, but just the way it worked out, I got very lucky. At a young age, I met like Nigel Glockler from Saxon, and a lot of other drummers who were actually my heroes, and they said, "Listen, this is a great idea. You should really develop this." And other drummers said, somebody is going to make money from this. It should be you. But even when I was developing things, it was before social media, it was before Kickstarter, and I had to do a lot of work myself just to get it going. But it was professional drummers like Will Calhoun. They were the guys that drove me on by saying, yeah, I had the engineering skills working on the farm, but to make a finished product and prototype that we have now, that's the Duallist D4 pedal, involved a little bit of work with DuPont as well. So you can see on here the DuPont logo.
Let me put you in full screen so that
yeah. And Mauro has one too. So it's a special material. It's called DuPont Zytel, and this is very, very strong. And Mauro can testify to this because he has had this pedal for many years. So what this means is it's a very nice material to work in. It's actually an engineering polymer from DuPont. So you can cut it almost like wood, but it's got stronger strength than steel sometimes. So it's a really good material.
Yeah.
Wait, stay where you are, Mauro. Take your pedal with you. Take your pedal with you, Mauro. Oh, because I was. This is a feature too. Kevin just sent us one too, and I really want to thank him live, and we will have to test it. So thank you, Kevin. And this is the new development. It's the D4, right?
Yeah. The D4, yeah. No, yeah. So basically, just to continue the story quickly, when I launched the pedal, I wanted something that was perfect to launch. And really, since I launched the pedal, there's very little change from the original Duallist design. In fact, some of the videos that you can see on the MusiCare show on my exhibition, some of these videos are many years old, but the functionality of the Duallist is so simple that although I have improved some of the bearings and some of the mechanisms over the years, the way it works is just the same. It's intuitive. You play it in double mode and it goes booga, 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 booga. You click it off at the back and then you have a single pedal that goes bang, bang, bang. So you can play eighth notes on your pedal, you click it in with your heel and it goes 16ths, or you can play sambas, did, or triplets. And it's an intuitive pedal to use, and you don't have to change your technique, because when you're playing eighth notes, a click of the switch gives you 16ths. And of course you can play your hi-hat. So I was very proud when I got the final pedal made. And it stood the test of time. We've had these pedals sold in over 70 countries, thousands of drummers all over the world, used on the biggest stages, and it doesn't break. It will not break. It's a phenomenal material that we actually use, and that's important to me, because when I grew up on the farm, my father would invent things for the farm, and they would be have to use in agricultural facilities, and it had to last. So I grew up in a culture that if you're going to make something, it's got to be good and it's got to last. So I brought my farming experience to my product. I'm just genuinely proud to have done this, but I also want any customer of mine who buys the product to know they're getting something it's not a gimmick and it's not going to break. It's going to last forever for them. So.
Yeah, the material was one of the things I've noticed when I've received it, and I said, "Wow, this is not a classical aluminium as they're made, or iron. I don't know what the special material. Yeah, it's something new, and it's also beautiful. I mean, the first impact, it's stylish.
Yeah, and it's very, very light. That is important. It is the single pedal.
Yes.
Normal. It's very light and very fast. I use it both, but the single is incredible too. It's working very good, very, very good. And for our back that we are old, it's good to have a pedal that is not very heavy. Like
Talk for yourself, Mauro. Me and Kevin are very young.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm the older inside here. I don't know. Exactly. Anyway, it's rare.
Mauro, sorry. Georgi.
Ciao, Georgi. Is my student. This is my student, and Ed is his
also Alessandra.
70 years. Yeah, he's 70 years old.
Ah, hello.
But he's a great drummer. I love him the drum. He's a great guy. Yeah, really.
So sorry if I interrupted you, Mauro.
I said Alessandra, I know. Ciao, Alessandra.
Sorry if se ti ho interrotto, scusa. Sorry if I interrupted you, Mauro.
No problem.
But at the beginning of the live, Georgi sent the message. So
I see. I'll send all comments.
yes.
Okay.
So you were Mauro, you were showing us the single pedal, right?
Right.
Which we have differences because you also make normal pedals, single pedals, Kevin.
Yes.
So Mauro is owns one of these. Can you? How does it work? I mean, you said it's very fast and light.
Well,
but
I can explain that very quickly. When I made this this pedal here, which is now the Duallist D4 pedal, as it's called, a lot of people said to me, but I still want to play double pedal with 2 feet. I have the skill set to use my left foot as the slave unit,
Okay.
and we'd love to be able to play that. And I said, well, I've already invented the triple pedal. I just hadn't launched it yet. So the triple pedal is here. So you have the Duallist pedal on this side with a third beater that connects to the slave unit. So you play the slave unit like a normal double pedal, and you can have the function of the triple pedal on your right. So you can have all 3 beaters going at once, or you can click that back and it plays as a normal double pedal. So when I did that, I had to create a slave pedal. So this is a slightly different shape from my main one. And when I did that, people actually said to me at the shows in Los Angeles, the NAMM show, they said that this pedal should be made as a single. So I made it into a single pedal, and people really loved the feel because of the lightweight materials from DuPont. And what people likened it to was, if you're going to run a sports race, you want a pair of light Nike shoes. You don't want to wear a heavy pair of work boots. And this material is so light, it just gives a different feel. It really needs to be experienced. So I did that one. And when I launched that one, I then had 3 pedals in the range. But then the French distributor I had at the time, they says, can you make a normal double pedal, a doppio pedali? And I'm like, no, I'm trying to change the world. This is the Duallist way. I'm not going to make normal double pedals. That's for everybody else. And the French distributor, they said to me at the Frankfurt show, they said, please make it. The materials are so good. It's not, they said, your funky D4 with the 2 beaters is great and innovative, but the materials themselves are innovative. And they felt I hadn't developed the materials in normal use. So they said, we will order 100 units. So the very next morning at the Frankfurt show, after a saxo blade involved, I designed the double pedal. And that's how we did that. So we have the Duallist double pedal, which looks like a conventional double pedal. However, it's got a super smooth feel to it. And as Mauro said, it's very light. And some other features as well. You can slide the drum clamp back and forward.
Yes.
Now, this is a feature on all Duallist pedals, especially the D4. And it's a very good feature for when you're playing electronic drums, especially, or percussion equipment. The bass drum, the rims on electronic drums are not true to acoustics. So people can end up with the bass drum being hit when the angle is here, but you should be hitting your bass drum about here to get the proper fulcrum, and to achieve that you can move this. So that's really is. It's very simple. Some people have said elegant, and I appreciate what you say about the design, Marco, but there's nothing complex about it. It works. And what I did is I was the first guy really to increase the height of the uprights, or the towers on drum pedals. Before, lots of drum pedals, the axle was round about this height. Now, what that meant is when you're playing a big 22-inch bass drum, people, their beater was really long and their pedal was really short. So they were swinging a lot, and that big swinging motion is not very easy to play with. So I made the towers taller, which meant the beaters didn't have to be so tall up. And that really helped, because it was probably in the 80s or so that people started to play above the center of the bass drum. They wanted the higher beater. So I just took all the elements and thought, right, I didn't copy anybody else's pedal. I thought, this is what I want, and I made it for me. And I could have got it very wrong, but thankfully some people like it.
Great. So as you say, there's a need, and you solved the need of the people.
Yeah, well, the need was for me, really.
You're a drummer.
He's a drummer, yeah.
And it allowed me to play double pedal and bring in the hi-hats as well. So, and to be honest, it's quite funny. We're doing this as a virtual show just now. But when I do the NAMM shows in Los Angeles or the Frankfurt Music Messe, when I actually sit down and play this pedal a lot, the original Duallist pedal, I still have a little giggle to myself, because I'm so busy running the business and doing everything. I don't get the chance to play it all the time other than test the pedals. But to sit down for 4 days at a trade show and mess about, I just go, this is great. So,
It's good.
and if I'm enthusiastic about passionate, it helps me design other products and listen to other drummers too. So
You should buy a few.
Probably.
Yes. Claudio Basile says hi. He's a good Italian, a real good Italian drummer who just made a record, and says "Ciao Marco" also. And so he said hi in 2 languages. So we're international. So Mauro, yes, you were saying.
Yeah, no, let's say hi to Claudio.
Ah, ok. Yes. Mauro, tu hai anche, facciamo una piccola parentesi. Kevin ha mostrato un po' tutto il suo repertorio di pedali che sono meravigliosamente innovativi. Addirittura il pedale triple,
Sì, quello è uno, cioè io l'ho anche provato, devi capire.
Ok, immagino, infatti. La mia domanda era quella, non è propriamente semplice, già un doppio pedale, la suddivisione suoni gli ottavi, suoni i sedicesimi, ma con il tre battenti immagino non sia semplice. I'm asking Mauro the difficulties in playing the triple pedal, which, the binary section from 8 to 16th may be a little bit more easy, but with three beaters, I don't know, it looks like not very immediate in playing it.
Well, one of the things with the triple pedal, if I bring one up for just to remark again, is that because you have the three beaters there, if you play, let me just move this one out of the way here. Let me see, let's move this one down.
Mauro, poi ci fai vedere tu, eh?
Sì, ma io non ce l'ho triple, ce l'ho solo doppio.
Lo so.
So if I can demonstrate here, if you play the triple pedal as a doppio pedale, and you play booga booga booga, then you've got your 2 feet playing the pedals. If you play the same with your feet, if you go up down up down up down, these 2 beaters will hit the drum at the same time. So rather than playing like a conventional drum pedal, these two, you have to play in between the rhythms. So for example, if you're playing your bass drum and you're going booga 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 on there, you play like a clave pattern on the left. You go click 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 click, and this can give you all kinds of different rhythms. And of course, if you just want to do like a triplet, then you just up and down, and it rolls. But it's really the some people think the triple pedal is like for real death metal guys going crazy. But okay, it works great for that. But I tend to think if you gave a jazz drummer a third hand, he's probably going to do something tasty. He's not just going to go crazy. And that pedal kind of allows for that to happen as well. So.
Mauro.
Allora, io te lo dico in italiano, perché lui andiamo in italiano. No, in realtà comunque è anche sul discorso del D4, no? Diciamo di quello singolo con il doppio movimento. È una questione di capire dove mettere i colpi. Finché tu fai ottavi e praticamente, cioè fai sedicesimi, scusami, praticamente tu hai l'ottavo sul battente, quello che parte, quello che schiacci, e l'altro ti dà il sedicesimo, perciò è abbastanza intuitivo che mentre spingi tu hai il doppio facendo metà dei colpi. E quando si cominciano a fare le combinazioni, che bisogna capire un po' gli sticking, come le bacchette, non c'è molta differenza, ci si mette lì e si capisce come fare, e non so, come diceva prima Kevin, fare la samba, perciò come muovere il piede per riuscire a fare i 2 colpi, tutum, tutum, oppure se vuoi fare altre cose del genere. Però una volta capito è abbastanza intuitivo, non ci sono, cioè non è così complicato come può sembrare. Io lo uso molto spesso anche, per esempio questo lo uso delle volte a sinistra, anche con il cembalo, che è molto divertente, perché per esempio se vuoi fare i sedicesimi col cembalo, e ti viene fuori, hai proprio l'impressione del classico suono, quello e lo puoi fare, perché questo ti viene, no? È una cosa che è estremamente complicata da fare con un piede solo, per dire. Ecco, oppure devi farlo sul Charleston con le mani, ma è complicato. Con questo la puoi fare. Cioè, ci sono tante applicazioni. Adesso sto anche vedendo, ma queste sono tutte quelle cose, anche per esempio montando per esempio una clave su questo, un campanaccio su questo, puoi avere, io che faccio musica etnica, che ho tanti suoni differenti, puoi anche pensare di creare una linea, diciamo così, col piede sinistro, una linea utilizzando proprio i 2 battenti, uno va a percuotere, non so, la campana, uno un boot block, adesso sto dicendo qualsiasi cosa che posso mettere, e hai una linea, mantenendo la parte destra sempre libera, perché sulla cassa hai il tuo bel pedale e hai una bella costruzione avendo due suoni, perché altrimenti se no con il pedale normale hai un suono, cioè decidi, non so, metti la clave, ok, qui lo puoi fare perché se poi stacchi ti resta uno dei due e comunque mi è scappato, e comunque puoi restare anche su un suono solo.
Certo.
Perciò è molto creativo, lì poi bisogna pian piano.
Molto versatile, quindi in questo caso.
Sì, versatile e creativo proprio nel vero senso della parola, nel senso che uno poi decide i suoni che metterci. Carry on, understand nothing, you alright?
Zwei Bier bitte? I understand the smile. I understand the smile, Mauro, and it's a pleasure for me to provide drum pedals that make you smile.
Great, thank you. I'll wait till the next one. Yeah. No, comunque è interessante. Poi sulla gran cassa, chiaramente, vabbè, se non ci si limita, bisogna un po' togliere quel classico che con questo si limita a fare i sedicesimi, un po' come imitare il doppio pedale. Quella è la cosa più facile, tutti cominciano con quello. Anch'io ho cominciato per la prima cosa a capire a fare i sedicesimi. 16 notes,
Certo.
tacca, 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 boom, 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 come dici. Poi impari a fare i colpi e a darci tutti gli altri colpi pian piano, capendo la diteggiatura del piede, come muovere il piede sulla pedana. Alla fine è quello, ma non è che sia così complicato. Poi, vabbè, quando
come tutte le cose nuove vanno provate, vanno testate.
Esatto. E poi è anche interessante perché il D4, anche da solo singolo, cioè quando lo usi normalmente, cioè senza andare a utilizzare l'altra parte, comunque è un pedale molto veloce, cioè molto è un pedale che ci suoni anche se, cioè, voglio dire, anche se dovessi non usare mai l'altra parte, per dire che non hai voglia, questo funziona perfettamente, ha una velocità, una capacità e anche una capacità, e in più una cosa che, data anche dai battenti, ma anche proprio perché il pedale ha una trazione ottima, ha anche potenza, che è una cosa che per esempio altri pedali spesso io di qualche pedale ne ho qualcuno di pedale, li ho provati tutti, qualcuno ha un po' di questo problema, bisogna per esempio risolverlo con i pesi e altre varie, diciamo, cose. Queste invece non ha problema, li metti su suona, cioè anche sul singolo.
La mia domanda è quella, Kevin, also, I'll do it in English so that maybe Kevin can answer it. La trazione, sure. The traction of the pedals, it's not the typical chain. What did you use for? Because Mauro just said it's very fast and powerful tool. Thanks to this.
I do options. One is the options because some people want the traditional aspect. So I do have some pedals with a double chain on them. And this is what some people like. But the thing on the double chain is I've always been into innovation, whether it's through golf, which is very big here in St Andrews, into motorcycles. Now, my experience of growing up on the farm, when you use chains, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Now, things on the farm, the chains would break. And I would think, well, why would a chain break? Because it's under tension. Sometimes, and chains, some of them are not great for tension. So what I actually use on the pedals now, on the D4 and D3, is a Kevlar special compound bent. So again, it's not a DuPont product, and you can see the white in here up close. It's all kind of got crisscross on there. So it's actually Kevlar. So it's a bulletproof vest type material with the other stuff on there. Now what that means is the Kevlar doesn't have the noise of a chain. When you make a chain drum pedal, you will see on here, we've got some felt on the pulley. You see the black felt under the pulley. If we didn't have the felt on the aluminum pulley or the aluminum pulley, the pedal would make noise because the chain would have a little clicky noise as it touches on there.
Yes.
So you have to take that away. But when you use the Kevlar belt, as well as having the smooth feel, it goes directly onto the pulley and it doesn't make any noise. So that's perfect for recording. And also for the Duallist, what we have for the D4 pedal and the D3, it's actually a special rubberized belt that's on the left side. Now what this does, it still works absolutely perfectly well and it gives you all the power, but this allows it to not have any shock in it. It takes any bounce out the pedal when you play. And really I discovered that by accident when I was developing the products. It actually came from doing the development of the original one, because I went from the very original pedal, which had two leather belts, and there was a bit of give in them. And then when I went for the chain, I tried double chains on a prototype and it didn't work. and I tried double Kevlar belts on the prototype, and that didn't work either. And I realized I need a special rubber belt just to be smooth. In some ways, you have the rims mounting system on drums and other mounting systems that take the shock out of the hit. And with the Duallist, when you have your first beat on the drum, there's a bit of shock goes into the second one. And as I push down here and stop, you can see the left beater wobbles a little bit. And that's how it works. So it's choice and preference. The Kevlar belts, many drummers, older drummers perhaps think the Kevlar belt's a belt like the bad old plastic belts that stretched and weren't very good. Whereas Kevlar belt doesn't do that. So it's really an education thing. I prefer the Kevlar belts, and the testimony for that is Harley Davidson motorcycles. They don't use chains; they use Kevlar belts. So that's the coolest brand in the world. So,
Yes.
but it is a thing. I mean, to be honest, a drum pedal with a Kevlar belt that you see in all the leading drum magazines is kind of sexy. So you want that, and you think because it's metal and it's chunky that it's going to be better. But it's not always the case. But I do give both options for people for the pedals anyway.
Okay, good. Ciao Ercole, hi Ercole, also another great drummer from South Italy. He's a teacher and great drummer. Ciao Ercole, nice to see you back here to MusiCare, which is the first edition actually. So back here to Planet Drum. So Mauro, one question, una domanda. When did you meet Kevin? Quando hai incontrato Kevin e soprattutto ha cambiato il tuo modo anche di suonare, o comunque parlavi prima di possibilità creative ben diverse, quindi ha influenzato un po' il tuo stile. Did Kevin's pedal change your way of playing drums?
Okay, you want in English or want in Italian? In English. No, it's okay.
As you like. You can do a mix in Esperanto. We can say
in Esperanto, Spanish. In Spanish, we go Spanish. No, I think that I met Kevin at Music Mess. I think around 20 years ago. The first time I see the double pad, the D4, when the name was not like this, but it was violet or pink. It's a very first
20 anni fa circa.
Event. I think Kevin 22 years ago and at Frankfurt Mass.
Yeah, probably a long time ago. Yeah.
When music fairs were really cool.
That was a good fair. Yeah.
But I think it's 2012 where we met for collaboration. I remember that I was there talking with Kevin and was impressed because he take the pedal. I said, "Man, this pedal not broke," and bam, it take down on the. Remember, you're down on the floor. Yeah, no broke, no problem. Oh my God. No, it don't broke. We start in this way.
So it was a safe way of meeting a new friend.
Well, actually, I remember them because that's because people would think because the DuPont is an engineering polymer is essentially a plastic, but people think plastic, it's not good, it's going to break. But it's not the case. I mean, this is the same material that Audi use in their car engines. It's used in the space shuttle. It's used in tanks. It's a great material. So what I did is when people would say that to me, I would just pick a pedal up and I would literally launch it like 20 feet across the room. And it would bounce on the floor. And everybody's like, And we actually did it one time at Donington at the big music festival, Download in England. And I think it was Megadeth, their drum roadie at the time. He was like, big aggressive American guy, lovely guy though, but he kept saying your drum pedal is a piece of because it's made of plastic. And really? So I picked up a single pedal, I just launched it at the floor in front of him, and it broke the wooden floorboards, and a piece of wood popped up, a sharp piece of wood. I says, "You can stick that up your beep." So, but it was quite a way to show it because it's a unique marketing method, but it's effective,
Yeah. Anyway,
as you say, sorry, go, Mauro.
No, I said that when I tried, Kevin sent to me the D4 and the D1, the single, and D4 was exploring and changing some idea because you can go over some ideas, like I said before, and you go for different sounds. You can play on bass drums. Yeah, that is normal. Or that's me. I'm not too much normal. I try with other sounds, with the cymbals, with closed hi. I tried one time with a closed hi hat. Take it like this, no? I tried. I tried different thing, or with bells, or I don't know. I have tried different thing, and it is very very important, because for me it's changed a way to I can use the pedal. The normal single pedal is a thing. The D4 is another thing. It's a pedal, but you can do a lot of things, a different thing. Or you need more pedals, or you have to play in two pedals, but you have to use heel and toe. You don't need it. You're playing on footboard and you have two sounds.
Sure.
For me, this is
the versatile aspect of this
Very.
of these pedals.
Yeah.
Well, Marco, if I could just come in there, one of the things, I grew up as a Saxon, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Metallica kid, and that's what I was into.
It's a metal drummer, a metal drummer. He said,
So-
"Oh, I'm just a metal drummer."
So I grew up all this. So for going booga 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 was great, and it's actually easier to play this. It's actually much easier to play double bass drums on one foot than it is on two, because if you imagine when you're playing a double pedal, when you're playing single pedal, I'll try and demonstrate that. If you're sitting down on your stool, all your weight, if you're a right-footed drummer, your weight is on your hi-hat foot. So your left foot is anchored to the ground a little bit, although you move your heel up and down perhaps, but your right foot is what you lift up and down. But your balance for your body is on your left side. But when you go to play a double pedal and if you play heel up, suddenly you have to have like a spike up somewhere on your drum stool, and you have to kind of lean back to start with to get used to it, because your balance point changes. So when you have the Duallist, if you want to play again, if you're playing away, you're playing bang 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 straight eighths. It's very easy to do, and then you click into 16ths. It's the same movement. And what I tended to find was, and feedback from people was that if you start drum set, normally you start with one bass drum pedal. So you play for 6 months a year, one bass drum pedal, a hi-hat, and you learn your grooves, you learn your rudiments. And if you're right-footed especially, or left-footed, whichever it is, you're predominantly good with that foot you choose to play your drum pedal on. So after 6 months of being maybe you start to become a competent drummer perhaps, you then I want a double pedal. So you get a double pedal, you put it on your weaker foot, which is not only your weaker foot through your entire life, it's also 6 months behind the development and the muscle memory of your right foot.
Yeah.
So instead of people going booga, 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 it sounds like a tractor on the farm, And it's a difficult thing to do, and it's for everybody that can do it properly, it's a wonderful skill to have. So the pedal does make it easier to play your beats, and you get the hi-hat. But the feedback I got from drummers as well, what Mauro was saying there, one of the main guys I had in the early days was Richie Gahati Garcia. So he's percussionist with lots of bands in America, a very famous guy. His son Roland Gahati Garcia uses the pedal too. He's used it at the Super Bowls and the White House in America. And his father Richie's played with Phil Collins and lots of people. And his feedback was quite good, because he actually chased me down at the NAMM show, because he'd been out in Japan and he'd been trying to play on a single pedal. He'd been out in Japan at the Osaka Music Hall trying to play like a samba, the dump, the dump, the dump, the dump, which he can do very well, but it's very tiring when you have to play that a lot, because it's very difficult on your ankle. And the guy that owned the Osaka Music Hall came down. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Richie-san," he's like, "You need a Duallist." And he's like, "What?" He says, "A Duallist." He says, "Because you don't need to go da, you just go da." And Richie's, "What?" You go da, and he goes, "I want to go da da," and he goes, "No, da." And then the owner of the music hall had his own Duallist in the violet colours, the pink. And he explained, to play a samba, you just go up, down, up, down, up, down. And that's all you do. So Richie thought the Duallist was a Japanese invention. And then I turned up at the NAMM show. It was 2003 I met Richie, actually. And he saw me on the booth, and he came storming over. He's like, "Oh, big hug for you. I want this pedal. I use this pedal." And then Richie's become a wonderful ambassador for me, because every time he goes down to South America and does a clinic, people there want to buy his pedal. So he always comes back without a pedal. So he's like, Kevin, I need another pedal. It's like, so that's been great for the Latin, the sambas, and as Mauro says, it's exploding. The guys who play jazz as well, if you check out some of the Duallist videos on our website, if you're playing jazz and you're you're lightly feathering the bass drum, like boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-boom, you don't actually need to switch the second beater off. You could play, if you imagine the bass drum is around here.
Well,
If you're playing that, you're going boom, ba-boom, boom, ba-boom. If you want to then play the beaters like that for a little flurry, you can do it because you're not doing a very big stroke. So you can actually control between 1 and 2 beaters hitting the drum to make something fun. And if you want to do a triplet, there's a great way to do a triplet. What you do is you start with the right beater in the drum head, and your first beat is your left. So you get 1, you go back in for 2, and then you do a half stroke for a 3. So it's left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right, left, right, right. And it's very easy to do that, and you can build up a da 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 da. And there was some famous drummer I can't name who did that in a drum clinic for a big brand many years ago using a double pedal and was completely tired. And I met him the next day and showed him the Duallist, and it was like, okay, okay, that's what we need. So it's the versatility that can be put into it.
yeah, I believe that Mauro, you should have a mission. You can write the first method on how to play a Duallist pedal, which it's really you need to learn a new technique which will make you play in a better way, maybe the best way, the pedals, the Duallist pedals, because this is what Kevin just showed us. Is exactly that. You have to use a different technique to achieve the most from those pedals.
Yeah, you have to use the different. The important is that you have. It's like to move the.
Geniale, yes,
Sì, è
yes,
geniale.
Ercole.
Sì, ecco, è geniale proprio.
È geniale.
Ma adesso lo dico in italiano. In realtà il problema è capire come fare gli up and down. È un po' come suona la batteria,
Esatto.
up and down. Quando hai capito
Un
come
po'
muoverti,
un po' la Möller technique per il piede.
è uguale, esatto. Infatti io, cioè, a me piacerebbe farlo. Kevin, Giorgio Meyer, have I never tried this one? Because going crazy, that man. Huh?
Did Jojo Mayer try?
Lots of people have tried it. To be honest, I'm a small business. I'm a very small operation based out in a farm in St Andrews, Scotland. I used to have big factories all over the world doing this. We used to sell lots and lots of pedals all over the place. We had Japanese distribution. We sold through Musician's Friend and Guitar Center in America. But to be honest, it was an awful lot of work for not a great deal of return because everybody was selling the pedals cheap as box shifters. And one thing that went when you had the factories was the quality control. So I brought the quality control back into my hands and started to sell direct. And it just made sense. And actually, it saved our business, really, because when COVID hit, I was in Disneyland with my family, or Disney World in Florida, and I saw COVID was coming. But by this time, I'd moved everything back to the farm. So I ordered as many supplies as I could because I knew the world was closing down. And when I came back to Scotland, we had more pedals to build than I'd ever had in my life. But we actually had a great year because a lot of drummers were at home, and I set up in here. I did Zoom calls. I explained to people what we do, and people had time to understand. And they also weren't going to the bar to spend money on beer, so they could say, well, let's give this a shot. So everything is done on the farm by the family here. So your point is there about other drummers. There are a lot of drummers out there who are not endorsed by Duallist, but have some of our products. And that's quite fine, you know, because it's a tool they can use. And some people get paid to have endorsements from companies as well, which is part of the profession. So it's quite a unique vehicle I've got in the way I've set the company up. But it's really been done about making quality products. So every pedal, just like you said, Marco, I mean, I sent your pedal out on Monday this week. You received it on Wednesday. And you had positive comments to say when you took it out of the box. Yes. And that's important to me. You have to take it out of the box and go.
Faster than me,
Exactly the same. That expression I've made it. Wait, how did you do it? It's exactly that.
What was that?
It was like this. I just took it out of the box. I said, wow, this is beautiful. It was like a pair of shoes. And you take it and say, okay, the design is great. Now, after the fair, I'll have the time to to play it and test it.
It's like a dance foot, you know, the old dance foot, the dance shoes. Sorry, you have the shoes now. You have to move your foot for dancing. It's the same.
Yeah,
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
yeah. But do you have a distribution here in Italy? C'è una distribuzione?
No, at present I just sell everywhere in the world. I sell direct now. Today we've shipped out to Japan, South Africa, America. Every day we send to America, and we send all around Europe. So we just make direct from the factory or the workshop here on the farm and send out direct. It gives me direct line of communication with the customer. If they want to do a call like this on Zoom, I can talk them through some things and have a bit of fun as well. But it means they're getting the pedal at a reduced price as well because I'm selling direct. And we can ship out. People can buy pedals in Italy. They could be there within 7 days, or if they want express shipping, we could have it next day. So it's a very simple process to get the pedal.
Great, so we should translate this in Italian because it's important. Kevin dice, Mauro aiutami, correggimi se sbaglio, Kevin dice che non ha distribuzione ma vendono direttamente loro e questo gli permette di tenere basso il prezzo, più basso, e qui in Italia con 7 giorni più o meno si potranno avere i pedali.
Dipende sempre dai cani e i gatti, ma comunque di 7 giorni più o meno.
Esattamente. In più lui dà la possibilità, anche lui ha detto, è disponibile per chiamate, Zoom, per dimostrazioni, è veramente in questo caso molto molto disponibile, anche perché ha direttamente il controllo sia della qualità, come ha detto prima, il controllo diretto della qualità, ha riportato tutto in home, in casa, nel senso...
sostanzialmente è un, anche se a livello mondiale però è un artigiano.
Esatto, esattamente.
Anche se a livello mondiale però è un artigiano.
Vende in Giappone, ha detto poi tutto il mondo. Ecco,
tutto il mondo. E quindi, però comunque resta a livello di controllo. Difatti i suoi pedali, a me non è mai successo. Per esempio, faccio un semplice esempio. Dovevo mandarmi dei pedali prima di questa diretta e gli hanno sbagliato a fare questa parte qua praticamente. E mi ha detto, guarda, mi dispiace, non te lo mando. Non te lo mando perché deve essere perfetto. Hanno sbagliato a fare un angolino di qua, non me l'ha mandato perché non era corretto. Questo è il vero controllo qualità, è quando tu sai che quello che ti arriva è perfetto.
È esattamente quello che deve essere.
Esatto. In fotografia l'hai visto così, ti arriva esattamente uguale, non ti arriva con una vite rotta oppure storto che devi poi diventare un po'...
Soprattutto ai fini della funzionalità e della qualità appunto
sì, anche perché essendo comunque prodotti comunque prodotti artigianali, perché questo, cioè, ricordiamo, per fare questa cosa se lo fa lui e la moglie, che saluto. I say hi to your wife, Kevin.
Thank you.
Cioè, lo fanno loro, e considerando, io penso, il tempo, che questa è una cosa che non ho mai chiesto, ma poi gli chiederemo. Cioè, il tempo, penso ci voglia un certo tempo per farlo. Poi ti dicono, ma costa. Sì, però ragazzi, una cosa è sempre quello il discorso, quando c'è una cosa di qualità, che è fatta a mano, fatta in cui ci vogliono i pezzi, devi star lì, controllare che tutto funzioni, e tutto vada, cioè, è inutile, cioè, una cosa buona ha il suo costo, altrimenti se no... voglio dire, non si è più artigiani, si va nella grande industria, ma loro si hanno altre cose.
E poi si hanno i prodotti fatti in scala, certo, ovviamente.
Esatto, qui certo, sono ok, ma comunque stiamo parlando sempre di artigianato. E comunque, artigianato a livello mondiale, ma artigianato.
Alto artigianato. In questo caso he's saying that the quality check is incredible, and you didn't send him last pedals, you had to send him because of that little thing that you didn't like. Yeah. So
exactly. The pedals are here. We've actually got we've got a D1 single pedal that I'd put extra length on there to make Marco an extension for the D2, which means the pedal could be the slave pedal could be on the left or on the right. I just a little thing, the supplier didn't do it correctly, so I didn't send. So, and everything comes through my hands. But one thing I wanted to say about just to make it a bit fun as well, because I contact all my customers as much as possible, and I get to meet lovely people like Mauro and now yourself, Marco, people can feed back to me what they need. And through through various consequences, I end up joining a band with some guys, Patrizio, who's a hairdresser who plays in a Kiss tribute band in Rome. And he came over to Scotland and we played in a band. So we were, I did a lot with various Italian musicians, and I played in a Kiss tribute band with them. And they came to Scotland and I was drummer for them. And we did the song Firehouse by Kiss. And they said, do you have a fire bell for going dong, dong, dong? I said, no, but I thought, I've got an idea. When I used to drive the tractors on the farm, the back end of the plough and agricultural machinery had a disc that got worn. And if you hit it with a stone, it made a noise. So what I did, I went to the shed and I found an old disc. Now, this normally goes through the soil and cuts up the soil behind the plough. I just bolted on and made a little plate here. So I'll try and hold it without knocking it. It's very heavy. And then you had this here. So at the start of Firehouse, you were like, dong, dong, dong. So all these things come from that. And I enjoy the camaraderie of drumming. The drumming community is it's a very good community, the drummers. And we've all got feedbacks. And other guys that have other drum companies and develop great products, we always share as well. And one of the things I just wanted to talk about briefly as well was all the products I use are because I'm a drummer. I'm fortunate I've had quite a good career in drumming as well. But one of the things I found is, as much as we talk about, we've maybe played a stadium and had great fun doing that, playing the sweaty small club gigs are the ones that earn you your money. And doing that, the drumsticks were sliding at my hands with sweat. So I developed these little guys. These are called gig grips. So let me just pull up the package in that so people can see the name of that, gig grips.
Yes.
Now, all this it's a special material that surprisingly took a long time to develop. And all you do is you put your finger through here and close on it. You can hardly feel it at all. And when you play your stick, it holds the stick in position. It won't slide out your hand because it's been held in there. Now, I'd tried the wrap tape you get for the drumsticks, but I just didn't like the feel of it. You weren't feeling your hand on the drumstick like you were used to doing. And this little thing holds your stick in. I mean, the stick won't fall out. If you broke your stick, you can just pull your finger out straight away. And when you play, you can just relax. So when I was playing in all these sweaty clubs in Scotland and around Europe, the drumsticks wouldn't slide out your hand. But it also takes away the fatigue because you don't have to grip harder. And if you grip hard, you're going to cause injury and it's tiring. And I've had a lot of drummers who've said, oh, these are not very cool. I can hold my sticks fine. And then they phone me, they say, we're on the road, I keep dropping my sticks, my hands, I've got calluses, I've got blisters. I'm in the studio and I've got 10 songs to record and my arms are cramping up. So it can have all these benefits as well. But for me as a drummer, it just means I can relax when I'm playing. I don't need to grip the stick so hard. You could play it like this. I mean, that's an over-exaggeration. But you can just relax when you play. And it takes the stress and the strain out of drumming. Simply, you don't need to concentrate on your grip, you just concentrate on your playing. And some of the things as well, when I launched these, Beyonce's band, I was doing an event with them in Los Angeles, and they were all using the Duallist drum pedals for the Grammy Awards, where Beyonce won 6 Grammys, which is incredible. And they had all the Duallist equipment on the stage, and I was just like, wow. And then the girls in the band, they saw the gig grips, and they all said, we want them. We're going on stage tomorrow night, live Grammy show. We're not going to drop a drumstick. So that was one of the products on there as well. And then just developing on from that, my inventive mind took me obviously to building drums. I mean, I was making drums when I was a kid from bits of wood on the farm and everything. And it ended up, I had drum ideas I was going to develop for drums, but I was so busy doing the pedals. And then it was other bands from other drummers that would say, can we please have your drums? We've heard they're really good. And I'm like, well, I wasn't ready for it. So I do custom drums as well, bespoke drums for drummers. But also this is one of the models that has become quite popular now. And this one is a brushed copper snare drum. So this guy's got a really unique finish on him. Where's around there, yeah. And on the inside as well, I put a special coating on the inside that's slightly difficult to see. But what this means, it gives it a kind of tone in the drum that it doesn't overtone or ring out when you play it. And every aspect of this drum here, there's not a piece of chrome on the drum. I found a sound that I really liked, and then I thought let's make the drum look a bit pretty with that. So there's no chrome; it's really unique. And Will Calhoun, he uses a snare drum. He actually found it at the NAMM show one time, and he was playing away. And it was the last 10 minutes of the show, and he played for ages. And he's finding spots on this drum that I didn't know exist to make a nice sound. And then the show closed and it said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the 2010 NAMM show has now finished." And Will turned and looked at me and he goes, "That's the best snare drum in the whole building."
That's a good achievement.
Now, and this, and then when Will was on tour with Living, well, actually, there's a drumstick here he gave me, so it's a Will Calhoun drumstick there. So when Will was on tour with Living Colour, and I went to one of the shows here in Scotland, we were doing the sound check and doing photographs of the snare drum and stuff, and he was endorsed by another company, but he was happy to promote what I was doing. And we did the sound check and everything was great. It was wonderful. And I went to the show and I'm standing at the back just as a fan. I'm like, that doesn't sound like my snare drum. I'm thinking, I wonder if his bigger endorsee company have said, no Duallist snare drums for you, although Will uses the pedals. And then during the show, I'm like, it kind of sounds like my snare drum a little bit. And then towards the end of the show, I got to check this out. So I went up in the balcony and looked down, and Will was using my snare drum. And what they do with Living Colour, they start playing blues. So he has the drum kind of fat, open sound, almost sloppy if you like. And then every song they play, they become more funky in the set. And by the time the end of the show, they're really funky. And he cranked this up all the time. Ingo Marty, a wonderful drum tech of his, and they did that every song. And by the end of the show, I was like, wow. And then I realized that I'd made a drum that had a huge tuning range that I didn't even appreciate because I just crank it up and hit it hard. It was from experience. So all these things are from drummers' feedback and just ideas. I love ideas. I love making things, So.
A lot of ideas. And how much did your childhood, your private life, being living in a farm, influence your ideas and what you're now, the man that you are now?
Well, probably 100%, because I think the best way to say, when I was a kid, I actually showed my daughter the other day when I didn't drive a tractor when I was like 5 years old. My dad had 2 tractors in the field and he said, "Can you drive that tractor back? All you have to do is pull the tractors don't have a key to switch them on and off as such. They have a kill switch that you pull." And he said, "You just need to hold on, and when you're going to hit the wall, pull the switch and you'll stop. You don't need to change gear." And I couldn't reach the pedals and I was too scared to do it. So we drove Dad's tractor back, and then we had to walk through a ploughed field for like a mile. And the mud was going like this on my feet, and my legs were getting heavy. And I thought, no, I'm going to do this, So, and then we learned to drive 2 tractors by tying them together with bits of string on the throttle cables. Health and safety today would kill you. But we did lots of things. But essentially what drove it was on the farm. My dad was a very successful inventor, but a few of his products were commercial. But he invented things on the farm to fix a problem that were used in his marketplace straight away. So if he wanted to have a scarecrow, he would get a go-kart, and he would actually tie my go-kart to a whirligig type thing, and the scarecrow would revolve and go up and down the field. In fact, just as we're speaking, actually, I might as well show my dad, since he sadly passed away now, but there's a picture of me and my dad building a drum kit from many years ago here on the farm. And what we would do, the example is, on a Sunday afternoon in the summer, you have a combine harvester. And if the combine harvester breaks and the mechanics from the combine harvester company are not available, you've got a wonderful field of crops of wheat or barley. If you don't harvest it, you lose money. So you look at that combine harvester and you say, right, what does that bit do? Right, okay, now what about that bit? And then you make a fix. You weld something, you try and bolt it together. And if it works, great. And if it breaks, you find a different way to do it. But if it doesn't break, you gain confidence. You think, I can do this. So my whole farm life was about, you never stopped a job. You would fix it to make it work. And I took a lot of the mechanisms, the early mechanisms to do the lock-off switch on the Duallist pedal were done through farm mechanisms. We had a lever you pulled that was for feeding the cattle. It made a mechanism feed them and not feed them. But it actually was too complicated to do this. And the lock-off system on here is actually just a door bolt, because underneath the pedal you can see a silver bar going back and forward here. Essentially that is just a door bolt. It's like a door handle. So if you imagine when you turn the door handle, like that lever, it opens the handle, and when you push that one down, it's closing it. And this bolt just slides back and forward. So that was an idea from a door bolt on the farm that I went to the hardware stores in Dundee, got myself a door bolt, we welded it up, we made a prototype, and it seemed to be the best way, because I had lots of mechanisms for the prototypes where the lock-off levers were pushed down for on and pushed down for off on the same one, like a pen top. But if you mistriggered it, you wouldn't know if you were not on, or you were not on, or were you on. You wouldn't know how you
Correct,
mistriggered.
yes.
So now it's like that's for on, that's for off. Dead
Easy.
simple, the other way around. So
Yeah.
to make it simple,
It's a
so
a solution for dummies, as they.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Easy solution.
Yeah, but I tell you one thing. Before I know we've talked about Duallist and we're probably running out of time. But I want to talk about this guy down here.
This guy, yes, over
This
there.
guy over here who has 84 drum sets. 84 drum sets. I mean, how do you say 84 in Italian apart from lots?
84, open 84 batterie. I don't know where he lives. I believe he sleeps in over one of them, the kids. Dove li tieni 84?
Un magazzino. Un magazzino.
Mauro is the most important, or around the most important. You're first or second in Italy as expert about vintage drums. Mauro, dai, non essere modesto. È veramente
Insomma, io faccio il mio, mi diverto.
84. E quanti pedali?
Ah, beh, potrei farci la storia. Beh, sui pedali è molto divertente perché io ne ho, io credo di avere tipo 5 Steel King, Heyman, Jacques Capella, Asba, ho di tutto. Per quello dicevo che un po' li ho provati tutti, insomma, posso dirlo anche. E la cosa divertente che io sono in contatto con Giorgio Meyer, perché lui è un maniaco dei pedali, lui fa la raccolta solo di pedali. E
lo sappiamo.
Siamo scambiati dei pedali, perché quando è venuto a fare una masterclass di pedali, lui ha tirato fuori il telefono, ha cominciato a far vedere i suoi pedali, cioè americani, e io ho tirato fuori il telefono e ho fatto vedere i miei pedali, tutti i pedali che ho io, e allora mi ha detto, cacchio, non ce li ho questi. Lyman, lo Speedmatic Heyman, I don't have it. Okay, I have two.
So Mauro is a very expert about pedals too, and if Mauro says the Duallist pedal is a really innovative one, we must believe him.
Yeah, sure. but Kevin have built a thing that is different. You can see something. Nothing is like this. That's this one. You have the something closer, but you have to play with the toe like this, like the sonor, or like the other, no? But you have to play this one only with one foot. You don't need to play like this, but only with this. Don't worry.
What model is that, Mauro? Che modello è quello?
D4.
D4.
Come il tuo, D4. Yeah. For example, you don't need a special technique. You have normal technique to play and work. Only you have to understand how to move it but you don't need a special technique.
So I can even play it. I mean, even me.
Yeah, sure. We can play. We can do 32 notes very faster, like George Colliers. I don't know. You put this one on the right, left, and on right foot, and you put another one on the left foot. You do it like George Colliers, like Dave Lombardo, like I don't know, with but it's more easy.
Yeah, well, if I can come in on that one, because that's quite an interesting one. A lot of people say, how does it work if you've got two dualists on 2 feet? Well, if you've got two on 2 feet, what you do is it's best to describe my fingers. So you've got two dualist pedals. You're going booga booga booga. If you play your two dualist D4s like two double pedals, you're going to go booga 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 booga. You're going to have two beaters hitting at the same time, so it's not going to make a different sound. What you need to do is do like this here. So if we were to make it the essential, if I was to do my hand here, you want that to happen, and then you get the like literally drumming your fingers. So how to achieve that is you play. I always imagine lovely guy Greg Bissonette. If you switch off your second beater, excuse me for putting my middle fingers up to everybody. At least it's this way. What you do is instead of going bugga 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 bugga, you go ba 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 ba. You do a kind of shuffle type thing, and if you do the shuffle type thing, you then get the roll going. Right now, if you look at the speed of my fingers there, all you'd be doing on your drum pedal is ba 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 ba, but you getting blah, 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 blah. So it's actually simple to do, and it's quite fun. because when you're doing it with this pedal here, you're not putting a lot of effort in. If you're trying to talk about playing like these other players you mentioned, their feet are be going so fast and their body's like this and their heart will be like, ah! You know, you're holding on like a motorbike at 100 mile an hour. But with a Duallist, you're just like, it's. Sometimes I said to people with Duallist, and this goes back to the very start, before cell phones and mobile phones. I tell people, when you play the Duallist, record it out front and then listen back to you playing it. And this came from my experience. When I finally launched the drum pedal, this exact model of D4, the bass player in my band said, "Thank goodness. Oh yes, now you'll stop looking at your feet." Because I was always looking at my feet in the prototype, because it's kind of mesmerizing that it goes booga booga. And sometimes you might think, oh, the left beater is, you think this one is a return beater. It's maybe not as loud as the other one. But sometimes it's the psychology of you thinking that. But if you stand in front of a bass drum and someone is going booga booga, you see that drum skin perfectly going even beats. And if you record it and play it back, you go, well, that guy's a good drummer. He's a really good double bass drum pedal. But when you look at it, you can't take your eyes off it. And I think that's part of the appeal of the product. I didn't hide anything or any of the mechanisms. It's for everybody to see. So it's just a different way to understand how it works.
Yeah, well, I've discovered your pedals in exactly this way. I was in a clinic. It was Alfredo Golino playing. I don't know. He has one of your pedals. It was a few years ago, 10 years ago, about. And I used to see his leg, and the movement wasn't really coordinated with the sound that I heard. And I said, "What kind of pedal does he have? I mean, how is he creating this double pedal sound?" And he moves the leg half the time. And then I asked around, and he said he was using your pedals. And since 2010, I've chased you.
Yeah.
Well, the other one with that is quite funny, and a band you wouldn't associate with doppio pedali is Van Morrison. And Robert Ruggiero, who lives in Las Vegas, he's the drummer for Van Morrison. And when they're doing a show with Van Morrison, he's basically got his D4 pedal in this mode most of the time. So the Van Morrison stuff, Sunny Side of the Street, all the big hits from Van Morrison, he's playing it as a single pedal. They play some funky jazz stuff as well. But in the drum solo, he clicks it into the double pedal and he goes booga, booga, booga. And he said every night on that first tour, Van Morrison would turn around and go, "Who the hell are you doing that?" You know, and he never figured out. He just thought he couldn't get it. So there's one of the biggest names in the world of music was seen his drummer, and he's like, "How does that happen?" You know. And the thing is, the drummer's just sitting there smiling because he's not putting any extra effort into it. You know, and that's part of it.
Relaxed, yes, relaxed.
Yeah.
1 second, Ercole is leaving. Ciao Ercole, thanks for being
Bye,
with us.
guys.
Grazie per essere stato. And he said, Gavin, you're a genius because you have perfectly understood the difficult life drummers live. Thanks for your inventions.
Oh, thank you very much for the kind comments, Ercole. Lovely to be there. So.
No, è vero, comunque è una genialata, eh.
È una genialata, è vero, è vero.
Sì.
You guys, it was a real pleasure talking to you. Grazie, Mauro. Thank you, Kevin, for your time, for your inventions, and for what you're doing for all the drummers in the world, I must say. We will soon also test. And if Mauro wants to come to Rome, I mean, not once, Mauro has to come to Rome and visit us. We already scheduled that. We should understand the day now, which day you can come. We will try to do something good for also for Kevin. Take your pedals with you, all of your pedals to our studio, and we will do something real nice and real cool.
We have so much fun. You know, like
we will have fun. We will have fun and we will eat good. Kevin, if you happen to come, you're welcome too.
Well, as I said to you both today, I've actually been buying a house today. And when I was talking with Mauro earlier, I just had my bill from my solicitor. They're like €7,000 or something. Because my mother's buying a house today too. And I'm like, I want to spend the money on drums, not on the solicitors. And I said, no, I'll spend the money coming to Italy, you know. So then I'd like to thank very much, which guys, he's over this way. I'd like to thank this guy down here. For being a wonderful guy and for communicating with me and the feedback over the years. And for any other drummer, I run the company and I enjoy what I do. And anybody who wants to be in touch with me, just contact me direct. And I enjoy speaking to drummers. And for this guy over here, I'd like to say, Marco, thank you very much for organizing this event, because it's very important for me to communicate with drummers and have the platform. And because of COVID, all the shows are cancelled, you know, and it's part you miss of that. I think you've got a wonderful format here, and I thank you for pursuing me over these last few years while I've been doing so many things. So I'm delighted to have been here today. And for everybody who's watching and tuned in today, I just thank you for your time and listening to me rattle on so much.
Thank you, Kevin, thank you Mauro, and lo dico in italiano, se in Italian, per qualsiasi contatto, contattate direttamente Kevin, lui, quello appunto, o Mauro, per qualsiasi consiglio. Kevin comunque ha...
Kevin parla l'inglese, parlate con me.
Comunque Kevin ha il suo stand qui nella fiera, quindi tutti i suoi contatti, oltre ai video, file da scaricare, insomma c'è tutto nel suo stand, potete trovare qualsiasi contatto anche qui, e lui è sempre disponibile, come ha detto, Zoom, chat, email, anche per il telefono. Quindi grazie a tutti ancora, grazie Mauro, thank you Kevin, and have a nice nice weekend.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ciao. Thank you everybody.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Ciao Kevin.
Ciao Mauro. Bye Marco.